it's a fine line to walk to telling the truth to beating people over the head and causing them trauma.
But then again, I think the animals are the ones getting beaten over the head. What would they think? Would they say, please show them what they're doing to us? I mean, that's.
Well, but you have a good point because you don't want to push. I think there is a line. I think a certain amount of a picture is worth 1,000 words, right? So it's like well-chosen pictures, just the right amount. It's something that we dealt with in Bold Native. How much footage of the actual abuse can we put in where we're not going to push out our audience, people who don't know anything about these issues and yet still bring the points home. So I think it is a total balance act.
Sure. Two things on the magazine specifically. One is you have to consider what's going to pass for major distribution. From experience, I can tell you right now that Borders or Barnes & Noble is not very likely to carry a magazine that is going to have these types of extreme images, particularly when magazines are placed where everybody and anybody has access to them. I work in the tattoo industry, for example, and mainstream outlets like major bookstores and all that won't carry tattoo magazines that show sexual or otherwise explicit tattooing. So the magazine editors have to edit the content that they put in those magazines just so that they can be in places like Walmart. Very specifically, a friend of mine had a tattoo that got sent into a magazine that it should not have been, and caused a lot of financial or legal problems for the tattoo magazine company after they ship hundreds of thousands of units to Walmart. And so that can very easily play into what we do here.
There's a lot of censors, and there's reasons why there's maybe a magazine that's mainstream, that's not out there like that because of the censors, But I was gonna say that connotation and intention are big things too, because it's maybe not what you say, but what your intentions are, and if you put a positive image, maybe of someone in pop culture who has who is vegan and who is who does have all these choices, maybe that's an image you can use instead of an image that would be censored. And so it's just
Right, but let's say Paul McCartney uses, or
Yeah, it's easier for someone to pick up a magazine and look at it and decide they don't like it, put it down, than it is for them to carry it all the way to the cash register and pay for it, only to buy it again in the future over and over and get behind it. All it takes is one person picking it up and putting it right back down before it's become, I won't say necessarily useless. The person has seen the image, they now is shocked. That's going to weigh on the conscious for an hour or two, maybe while they drive to McDonald's.
Well, I think there's a real problem with a society where something that's as common as what we eat, that we can't see pictures of where it came from. That's totally messed up. And I hear all these concerns, but at the same time, it just increasingly makes me think that we're getting to a point technologically and culturally where we can start to reject mainstream media. And I think that we can embrace and foster counterculture media and things like Bob's show and let's just do that. Let's just embrace media that's honest. I think that at a certain point, you're not going to get your message into media that is funded off corporations that survive on animal abuse. They don't want you to see these things any more than the Bush administration or the Obama administration wants you to see, carnage from the war. They don't want you to see that because it would stop people in their tracks from what we consider to be everyday activity. So,
in response to maybe people would feel more inclined to feel discomfort if they saw what was happening because we're so sheltered from and blinded by everything. As far as the anti-abortionists go, they're purely propaganda because oftentimes it's been proven that those images are photoshopped and used in a way, there was not to make my comment longer, but there was a group, the Catholic Movement, that came onto campus that had images comparing abortion to the lynching of black men or comparing it to a lot of issues that will to the Holocaust but in a way during abortion to vivisection. And I was like, well, so you're against animal testing. testing or against animal experimentation. The response that I got repeatedly was, no, we are using it because people think that it's wrong to test on this monkey, but they don't think it's wrong to report feces. So the intention wasn't to expose the disgustingness or the morally abhorrent issue of abortion. It was to purely propagandize the issue. So with something like animal rights, where we're showing the reality of these things, this is not Photoshop pictures, and as we've seen all the footage, it's important to show that. And I don't think that we should coddle or baby people. I think that those animals would, like Bob said, would appreciate it if we would just continue to show those images, because that's what's happening to them every day, and they have to see their brothers and sisters die from that.
And, I don't footage in like the little section of the film we watched, like, we're used to seeing those things, and so it's like, that is not shocking to me anymore. But I show this film to people who aren't animal rights people, and like, you hear like, oh, it's so shocking, it's like, it's disturbing, it's shocking. Like, people, if you can find a way to present it to people in a way that isn't like accusatory maybe, or that makes them, that lets them, people want to know what's going on, so I think you have to disturb and shock, because it does change people's hearts.
We have to watch out, because next to the little cop in our head from Peter, I guess we probably have a sensor in our head also, that's.
People buy what makes them feel comfortable, they support and get behind, and ideologically they buy into the things that make them feel good about who they already are, not about what they can do to be better or change. Nobody likes to be criticized. We all have egos and bruise very easily, so people will get behind what appears to support something that they support and do. Literally, the entrance of a giant stockyard with 500,000 cows all coming together. Do you know where that was?
I know it's about an hour and a half north of LA. I forget the town, but
It's on Interstate 5.
Yeah, right.
Harris Ranch.
Is that up there?
The concentration camp.
yeah, it's not the. I'm not sure. It's not the ones you see right off the 5, like those huge ones, but it's I know. Yeah, I can't remember the name of the town.
Yeah. I mean, it was literally like, a literal happy cow thing. They had a painting, at the entrance to, the driveway of the stockyard, and you could see the cattle. It wasn't like it was hidden, and they had a big giant sign that would have made you believe that.
Picking flowers and sniffing
Yeah, it was
flowers.
just, it was just silly. It's a huge insult to our intelligence, you know what I mean? But every day people drive by that, and they disregard the, I would imagine, smell, for 100 square miles of.
Most effective. I think it was Dennis that was talking about, planting the little seeds in people, and people who maybe haven't been exposed to this. My coworker said, we were all in lunchroom one day eating, and she told me just out of the blue, I don't think I've ever met a vegan before, and that was so strange to me. But I'm just wondering, just people who don't know, what have you guys found to be most effective, or maybe your friend that eventually ended up going to you?
I think that there's a few important things. One, you should always, this is what I was trying to say before, not terribly articulately, you should, stand firm in what you are. I think a lot of times we have when we're in situations with coworkers or family or whatever,